All right, and we are live. Have you ever been discriminated because of your height by women? Height discrimination has become more and more normalized. How to overcome this issue? So, this is actually really good. I mean, he doesn't really mention if he's short or tall here, but because he's asking this question, we're just going to assume that he's on the shorter side. Now, the bottom line to this question is, and a lot of men are actually really caught up with this, and here it is. Height is just another attribute. So of course people here are gonna say, yeah, don't take it personally. Someone's tall, it doesn't really matter. But let's say you're in shape. Let's say you're jacked. That's plus another point to you. That's another quality that you have. Maybe you're smart, maybe you're funny, maybe you're charismatic, maybe you're tall, maybe you have hair on your head, maybe you're bald. Whatever it is, these are all traits and qualities. And if a woman's looking your way, she's not just gonna judge you by the height. She will definitely look at other factors as well. So you cannot use this as an excuse that women are not gonna, look my way, give me a chance, because I'm short, because they always look at other factors too. They might even look at the car you're driving if you're dealing with someone who's very shallow, or that's just what they're looking for. They're looking for a guy with money. Just speaking from my own experience, I wouldn't say I'm that tall, but I'm certainly not short either. I'm about 6'0", or whatever you call it, 183 centimeters. And it's exactly as I said, it's an extra point. It's a nice to have, not a must have. And going about my day, there will be girls that look at you and those girls that don't look at you just the same way, whether you're tall or short. The same way a Lambo drives by and you're going to look at it and think, wow, that's cool. Now, of course, let's not pretend. Some girls have a height preference, and usually they just want you to be taller than they are. It doesn't mean you have to be 2 feet taller than her, as long as you're just a bit taller. That's enough for most women. So let's say if you're somebody who is 5'6", 5'5", 5 foot, doesn't matter. Yes, your dating market, or the girls that you're going to be dealing with or who are going to look your way, are probably going to be shorter than you, but that's more from a long-term perspective. If you want to make a good couple, if you want to look like a husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever. If it's just a shorter term thing, if they're just looking to smash, probably they're not gonna care that much. Maybe you're short but you're hot. Maybe you have huge muscles. Maybe you're good looking. You have perfect hair. Who cares? She can choose. But if it comes down to longer term dating and building a family, naturally women are gonna have that standard of, the guy at least has to be taller. So that's just the dating pool you're dealing with. The same way, maybe a rich guy is dealing with a pool of women who are mostly looking for a wealthy guy. So that's their pool, right? In your case, you're dealing with women who are looking for someone who is at least taller than they are. So naturally, the taller women are going to be out of the picture for longer term. And of course, don't sit here and say, well, there's the exception. The exception is the fact that I've seen tall women with shorter guys. Yeah, sure, that of course that happens. People do all kinds of things, but generally speaking, for most people, there's going to be some kind of preference. And for you as well as the man, you're also going to want a woman who is shorter than you for the most part, right? If I'm a 5 foot guy, I'm going to want a woman who is like 4'11", 4'10", at least, or at the most. That's just nature. That's just biology. You usually want a woman who's smaller than you. And as guys, you're bigger by nature. So don't look at other women who have different genetics. I was in a few different countries, and I felt very different in terms of my height, depending on the kind of people that I was surrounded by. So for example, when I went to Japan, naturally, I felt like a giant because everything in Japan is small. The people are small, but everything is also built a little bit smaller. The cars are smaller, they're less roomy, they're tighter. Some cars especially, like you're sitting with on the edge of the seat and your knees are just poking into the front seat if you're a passenger. And fast forward to traveling to England, there were a lot of European people that I've noticed, especially those that are from Scandinavian countries. They're huge. I mean, not just the men, the women too. They were all like my height or taller. And I thought, oh, damn, I feel super small here. And, those people have larger builds. They might be wider, bigger boned, thicker. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, you can't compete in this market. And of course, I'm not saying that you can't find a girl that's, Scandinavian and she's taller than you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, depending on your environment, who you surround yourself with, is that's also how you're going to feel. If all your friends are taller than you, you're probably going to feel short. In my friend group, I feel just average because we're all roughly the same height. So naturally, height is not something you can change. This is don't sit there and start thinking, how can you increase that, stretch, maybe wear taller shoes, whatever. You can do all those little things, but it doesn't really matter. I would suggest focus on other things that you can control. So if you need to get jacked, look amazing, take care of yourself, smell good, make money, have nice things, or be well taken care of, at least for yourself. And by the time you're at an age, maybe closer to 30, if you aren't already, and you have done those things, women aren't going to give a fuck if you're short, if you have a good lifestyle, or not even a good lifestyle. These days, just a stable lifestyle is more than enough, because the world is crazy these days, and these women are finding it harder and harder to find a man who has his shit together. If you have your shit together, they won't give a fuck about your height. Never use that as an excuse. Don't give a fuck about it, because if you were taller, great, but it's not that much different. You're like, okay, I have +1 attribute. She's still going to choose the guy who has all of the other things, regardless if you're just tall. That might get you girls when you're in school, and that's about it. Once you get to real life, nobody really cares that much. Ask yourself this. If you're dating a girl, you're dating a chick, right, and she has small tits, is that a deal breaker for you? Maybe she does everything else. She works out, she looks great, her body is amazing. She looks, she's just great. She has a great personality. You don't get annoyed of her in the way you do with other women. But she just has small tits. You're not gonna fucking divorce her for that. You probably don't care that much. It would be a nice to have, but you're not gonna sit there and say, well, let's get you plastic surgery. I think most men would be against it. Women who get plastic surgery, like, why are you ruining it? It's not that big of a deal. In fact, you getting plastic surgery just disqualifies you from ever being my wife or or take care of the kids, have kids with me. So it's kind of similar. That's just one attribute that we as guys may have a preference for women. It's a nice to have, it's not a must have, and it's definitely not a deal breaker. Obviously, there's going to be some guy out there who is like, no, boobs are my life, and if you don't have boobs, I don't care about anything. Great. That's like less than 1%. Most men are more reasonable than that. And if you're just looking to smash, well, then none of that matters anyway.